All right, welcome back, guys, to After the Island. I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Alex.
And we have Fran with us from Chicks from the Office today, joining us.
Welcome. Fran is a huge Love Island fan. She has watched the UK season. She watched our season. She is now watching the second season. So we just want to get her insight on what she's thinking so far, who her favorite couples are, who her favorite people in there are, and just kind of break down everything that's happened.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited. Like Alex said, I really have not missed one season of Love Island. Australia, watched all those too. So I am very, very well versed. I will say that, this season has been pretty juicy. There's been a lot of ups and downs. I'm very happy. I actually have a question for you guys first, because we just watched I'm like switching this around. We just watched Casa Amor, and it was obviously full of drama, a lot of different antics, the recoupling and everything. Watching Casa Amor, do you guys wish you had a Casa Amor on your season or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I think,
I think it would have tested all of us as couples more. I don't think any of us were truly tested enough. And I think it would have given us more insight of how we would have done in the real world.
Yeah. I think it was far too easy to cruise through just being in the villa, with the same person the whole time when you're separated for a certain period of time, like not going 24 hours without that person is very odd. And you feel a very different way once you kind of get that space. So it would have been interesting to see what happened.
Oh, yeah. We definitely would have had switch ups and turns and twists. Like, it would have definitely seen a different tone for that season.
It's a must. I feel like it really is a must because it's been so good. And I don't know, guys. I really was so happy that some couples stay together. And I kind of wished not more separated. Like I wish Kirsten tried more, but I'm obsessed with Justine and Caleb. Obsessed.
Same. Did you see that Chrissy Teigen tweeted about them? I lost.
Oh yeah.
That's wild. Well, they started saying that they were like the Jaden and Pinka Smith, and we were
I was like,
no.
What?
Like, you can imagine
the other way. John and Chrissy, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I know, that was funny. And I liked that Caleb had said that like he's like, well, I'm the Chrissy though, because doesn't everyone want to be the Chrissy?
I do want to talk about Casa more with you because I feel like it's a staple of Love Island to have it. And it just is a huge turning point in the show. What were your thoughts on the girls coming in? What did you think of them?
I loved the girls coming in because I thought they came in really confident, which is great. And they kind of were like, I think they gave the guys the right mindset because they needed an adjustment of like, I think they were still so attached to the villa and what was going on there that they needed the girls to be like, look, like, hello, live in the moment. You have these girls here. You got to figure it out. And that was great. And I don't know, it's hard because you want to see some of the guys like stay with their girl in the villa. So you almost root against some of these girls when they go for the guy that's in the couple. You're like, no, stay away from him. Like you want them to stay together. But like, there was some that were just like, Cher is so cool. I just feel like she seems like the coolest chick ever. And so her going after Caleb a little at the beginning, I was like, oh no, don't go after Caleb. But also you're so cool. I hope someone else picks you.
Okay. So I want to go over like the couples that came out of that. Calvin and Cher.
We're ready to
make no sense.
Island ourselves.
I would love to know. That's a question we got asked these girls, right? Like, what is it about Calvin? Because he came in already so confident, and then Moira, who I think is amazing. Like, I love, she's one of my favorites. And so I'm like, what does this guy have that all these girls are like, okay, like Cher, Kirsten. I'm like, what is going on with this, perfectly coiffed, freckled man?
Right.
Everyone we've asked said he has some kind of swag about him or like, and I'm like, interesting because like, I don't see it. It doesn't come across on TV like that, but maybe he does have that. I'm like, I would love to see it for myself.
Definitely. I Carrington and Cher, I'm not Carrington, Calvin and Cher like made they I think Calvin was so ready to like switch it up anyway that he just did a full 180 and
seriously
came back with Cher, which you know, we'll see what happens because it kind of seems like that's already over and done.
No.
Yeah,
I think he's super into Kirsten now.
Right. Well, even Kirsten said that he had swag. She physically said it on the show. So I was like,
yeah.
Calvin's throwing out the word swag. He's got to be doing it. Like, I just need to see him in action.
What is he doing? Give him like a slow-mo shot of something, like him walking across the villa in slow-mo.
Right. So
he does have a good body, I will say. Like, and as much as he kind of has like that, no offense to Calvin, but like little boy face kind of, you know, they're all pretty jacked. So maybe that's whole seeing him in person maybe has a different effect.
No, and I think that's actually so true because we've heard, and like we've obviously not met in person, but seen over a Zoom screen, most of the girls and guys that have come off, we have heard it several times, like, wow, you're a lot prettier in person. And we're like, not sure if we should take that as a compliment or if that's a backhanded, like, but I totally agree. I'm sure they're all stunning. So jumping to the next couple that came back, who was the next couple? Oh, Carrington and Laurel.
Yes.
Guys, Carrington pulling that fast one on Kirsten was so mean. Coming down the stairs alone and then making everybody freak out and then turning back and being like, all right, let's go, babe. And calling Laurel down the stairs was so mean.
It was awful.
So wrong.
I think it was too clever for it to be Carrington.
Agreed. We
think it was definitely a producer move.
Yes. And we are pissed. And we will say that because we hated the way that it painted Kirsten. Oh my God. Because it kind of made her look like, I don't want to say desperate because it's not desperate, but they almost wanted to like make her look that way.
Yeah, they wanted to crush her hopes.
Yeah. And it just
capture it.
It rubbed me the wrong way. And I don't think Carrington is like that because surprisingly, every single person we have talked to, we have literally given Carrington the most shit out of anyone on this show. And every single person comes on and says he is the greatest human being in the villa, a best friend, total guy's guy, total guy's girl.
Oh my God.
It's insane.
I know. We said that too the first time. We were like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, but we hear it over and over and over.
That's interesting too. I mean, I get it because, and I will say, like, I think the first time we talked about the first few episodes on Chicks in the Office, I think I called Carrington like a douche canoe. Like, I was like, this guy, I cannot deal with him. But the way Laurel reacted to him in Casa Amor made me think, oh, maybe he's not as bad because she seemed so great. And she was like, oh, you're not how you come off on TV at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking maybe that plays a role in it. But then he does things that are still annoying. Like the way he's like pitied Kirsten and being like, you know, we can still be friends. And I hope that clearly you didn't find someone that you liked more than you liked me. Like it was so obnoxious.
Hey, he always takes 2 steps forward and then 10 back.
He just, he can't seem to keep it together on like a level playing field. The speech to Kirsten was one of the most condescending speeches I've ever heard in my life.
It was ridiculous where you could tell because all the other girls reacted like, what is he saying? I feel like he just had word vomit and didn't know what to say. And so he just like kept going and going. And it was like, just stop. Like, you don't have to go into this much detail.
Exactly. And I think that's like also something that's interesting on the backside of Love Island is a lot of people think you rehearse those speeches. Like, some people could have thought that he was sitting there thinking all night, like, how am I going to take a jab at Kirsten?
How am I going to really rub it in her face?
You don't do that. You have nowhere to write it. You can't do it on your phone.
The top of your head.
You just are going off the cuff.
You don't even know what order you're getting selected to stand up in. You're like, oh, do I have to go first? Am I going third? You have no idea. So then all of a sudden they're like, okay, stand up and say it. You're like, okay,
I'm
gonna pick.
literally had a moment where, because if you don't say enough, they'll say, okay, do you have anything else to add? So I said, not really sure how Dylan weaseled his way in, and everyone was just like, what? Like, what the hell? So you just say the most random things. So
and sometimes they'll have you add more and you'll be like, and this, and this. And I think maybe that's where they got some of those lines from. Just kind of pushing him to say more so they could grab what they wanted from it.
Right, definitely. Because that would make a lot of sense. And it just, and that also shows like when it's funny, they keep it, right? Like when Ariel asked Moira who she wanted to pick, and she was like, who's the boy you want to couple up with? And she was just like, Aaron. Like she didn't give any, like there was no explanation. She just said his name.
Because you're supposed to, when she asks, you're supposed to do like the boy I would like to couple up with is, and then you break, and then they say, okay, go. And then you say the sentence of why, and then you break, and then they say have to clear you again to say the name.
Yeah.
So it's broken up like that. So you don't do what she did. And
exactly.
Just kept it and thought it was hilarious.
It was so funny. So also, I want to hear your opinion on Ariel, because I know you talked to her. You guys talked to her. Honestly, I haven't seen her enough.
They barely use her.
There hasn't been a lot. No, she has not been like, I feel like we've seen her 3 times maybe. And if that, she is great. I think she's such a great host for this show. Like, and she's gotten more comfortable. I think she was even better this time around than she was on your guys' season. Yeah. Like just with the first episode and the intros and everything was really great. And I also just love because she really does seem like she cares. Like even with just, she's legit crying at these recouplings.
So we point out too that this season has more of like a serious narrative they kind of felt like they were giving her, and we were like, why don't they just let her be her fun bubbly self as a host for it, because it almost feels like it contradicts a little. Like she's more badass this season, walking in with her like slow-mo flipping her hair and whatnot, but I see her more as like the quirky funny, and she like I think she brings out the lightheartedness in the show. But then again, I mean, they're really going for this dramatic season. So
yeah. And that's why. I think also to that point is last season, we all got to know her pretty well. Like, because we got the most time with her. So we got to know her the most out of most people. And she was like, when we would do our little couple interviews and she would come and ask questions, she'd be like shimmying across the table and be like, oh, don't get my underwear. And like just funny things, because she is so funny. And I know whenever I would be sitting at a recoupling, she felt so awkward because she was like, I literally can't be serious. Like I can't do this. And I would be like, same. So I would just start making like faces to her, like, and now I think they've completely shifted it to where I don't think she has any relationship with any of the Islanders, to be honest.
They don't want her to have the like friendship, like quirkiness with them and like bounce the energy off each other. They want it to be very...
And she was stone cold when she walked in, but she did always show that caring side. So I feel like that's what they're trying to go for, because you always need that dramatic part, but also the I like you.
Yeah.
I think definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. It's one of the criticisms that I've had for them kind of trying to do this. Obviously, like all the show, they're the same show. They do the same thing in UK, Australia, US. It's all the same. They do this, but I think the US version has kind of really tried to plug into that UK formula just because it has worked so well. So instead of kind of like letting Ariel do everything herself, it's kind of like, well, that works for them, so let's try this. And I mean, I loved Lauren. I wish Lauren had gotten more time on this season. And I feel like and it's funny because I selfishly was like, maybe we should just get people who are like from London who live in LA to be on Love Island.
It's honestly such a different attitude.
It's so funny.
It's not even like an air about them or like this arrogance. It's not in a negative way. She just knows who she is, and like she will tell you if she doesn't like you.
Yeah, with her accent, which makes it better. You're like, okay.
I know. And there is just something about, I mean, this is such a generalization, but there is just something about British people that are a little bit more blunt and say what's on their mind. And I think with us, like we sometimes like care too much about what other people think. And so you're like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings. So you don't really tell them everything when they're just like, oh, we'll say it to your face.
I think that's what like the issue is, or the mismark, you know?
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting that they had, because they brought in Lauren, they brought in Cormac last season. Cormac was straight to the point.
Hilarious.
He was like, I can't like anyone unless I have sex with them. We were like,
oh.
So I totally agree. I think that they're just way more forward with how they feel. They're honest, and you can't be mad at that, even if they suck. Like,
exactly. I know, exactly. And which is why I love that. I feel like I just think that the US needs to kind of like form their own identity, do their own things, and people will like it better and not constantly compare it to the other shows. However, I say that, but I'm also like, thank God they did Casa Amor, because it was like we had said before, it was so necessary. And the entrance, first of all, obviously Johnny was coming back for Sally. We knew that was going to happen, but Connor coming down the stairs with Mackenzie's teddy bear was maybe one of the more heartbreaking Casa Amor recouplings that any version of this show has ever seen.
Yes. Everyone like felt so bad, but like couldn't help but be like smiling, like, oh my gosh, I should not be smiling. This is terrible.
Exactly.
I want to see Gus's military videos that caught, like, you know, he caught with his eyes. I just want to know. It was just like, it was not. It was Molly May and Tommy vibes, but the worst way it could have happened.
We were like debating how the bear handoff would go.
Yes.
Like, does he hand it back to Mackenzie right then and there? Does he wait till after to give her the bear back? Does he hand the bear to Jalen? Like,
I was like, that's a Kim Richards and what's her situation at the reunion. Like, that's hilarious.
Giving back the bunny.
Exactly.
We said the bear might even end up in the fire pit.
Yeah, like it was definitely, I like how they're focusing in on her stuffed animal too. Like,
oh, you didn't even see Connor. Like, you saw the stuffed animal before you saw Connor, and it was like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
And Connor seems so sweet. Like, Connor, I don't think has any idea what he's doing. Like, he just seems like he is very inexperienced, and these women are experienced, and they're walking all over him.
But but now Connor's with Moira as of last night, and I'm for it. I love that.
Yeah,
I think they're comfortable with each other. They balance off each other well. I think neither of them seems stressed around the other person. So I like it. Yeah, like we're here for that.
I like the two of them too, because it's hard with Moira and Mackenzie obviously being such good friends. So you never want to cross that boundary, but it probably works in Connor and Moira's favor that they like establish that friendship as like, oh, well, Connor's the guy that's with my friend, and oh, Moira's the girl I'm with, you know. So they already established that kind of like friendship, and now they're like, wait, we're both like really hot. Maybe we should just be together, because it definitely works. I feel like Connor is sneaky, exactly Moira's type, and she just never wanted to say it.
Right.
I think Moira will bring the side of them that we'll get to see.
Absolutely. Because guys, watching the recoupling, I was like, oh my God, he's going to pick Mackenzie. I really thought he was going to pick Mackenzie, and everybody was like, I thought they were going to have like a coup on their hands or something. Like, all the boys were going to stand up and be like, we won't let you do this.
Oh, that would have been really funny.
Because you saw them, they were all looking at each other around the fire pit being like, please don't pick her.
Don't do it.
Carrington last night like was inserting himself into, you know, talking to Mackenzie, talking to Connor, being like, all right, this cannot happen.
Yeah. Casa Amor clearly brought out the best and worst in people. Who coupled up the
only one we haven't really touched
Jalen,
on
I
yet.
guess. Yeah, but
Jalen, we think Jalen's just a player. We think he just kind of
Jalen. Yes. Jalen 100% is a player. I feel like this is why it sucks, because Mackenzie definitely has a bad rep, which is, you know, might be warranted, might not be, but she did have a point that Jalen probably used her to get into the villa and then started like talking to the other girls. But it's just like the way Mackenzie reacts to things that makes it hard. Like she made the right point. She was like, oh, I think Jalen like doesn't care and he just used me to get it back in. If she had explained that without like sobbing and making it like, oh, you know, he's not giving me enough attention, like then it makes her look kind of needy, and it's like it doesn't help her case when all the other girls are kind of like, well, Mackenzie, like it was one day, like maybe give it some time. And it kind of backfired on her, and definitely because Jalen also used that one small fight to be like, oh my God, red flags. Oh, we're done. It's over. Like, and when he didn't have to do that, like he could have explained himself. They could have had a conversation and tried to make it work. And instead he was like, oh, this is, it's done. It's done already. I don't know why I didn't see this before. Like I'm going to go talk to Kirsten.
And Kirsten picked up on the fact that he did that and was really good about listening to Mackenzie. And because she was really listening to her, Mackenzie then wasn't overreacting as much because she knew Kirsten was actually like taking the time to listen to what she had to say. And she was like, yeah, I don't want to put up with that either. So I'm not going for it. And you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Kirsten's a bad bitch, guys. I like, because she goes after what she wants, but she's also, I feel like, so respectful, so nice to everyone. Like she is not stepping on other people's toes where it's a problem, but she's like, you know, I'm not here to, you know, break people up or getting into any of the drama. And she was just like really so good with that and totally read Jalen right off the bat and immediately now is like into Calvin. So
yeah. We're a little lost on that, but we're here to ride that out and see where that goes.
Johnny and Sally, thoughts on them?
Okay, I like Johnny and Sally because I really like Sally. I think she is bubbly and charismatic and amazing, and she's so cute. Johnny, I'm a little iffy on. I feel like maybe he hitched his wagon to the biggest personality girl that was there. I don't really like the way he acted in Casa Amor, which, you know, that it is what it is. I'm not necessarily like mad that it happened. I understand. And sometimes, I don't know, boys are so weird. Like sometimes boys do need to go like make out with a ton of people and then be like, oh, why did I do that? The girl that I was with before that is the one that I want. So he realized that it is Sally. He goes back, he explains it. I felt so bad for Sally having to like go through all that, but she seems like she's okay now. But I don't know. Did you guys see all the TikToks of like his ex-girlfriend? And
yes,
I'm like, what? I want to like them so bad, but in the back of my head, I just remember that TikTok of that cute girl and he's like fake proposing at EDC and they're like it looks like they were in a legit relationship. So I don't know
with the TikToks.
Yeah.
And it grew because you don't want to judge someone on their past, but there's so many things that are coming out. It's like you almost already have preconceived notions about him.
Going based off of everyone that said that, we've like watched him like a hawk. We almost overanalyze him in a way when we watch him. So it's like unseeable now. And like, I don't buy a word that comes out of his mouth. And
you know what? Yeah, you're so right. But I just think like, and he also, but that's why I love the Vote America aspect to these shows, because those who are watching and see what's going on or, you know, in on the tea and what's going on behind the scenes, like they see this side of Johnny. And so Johnny is in the villa, like thinking his shit doesn't stink. And he has Sally and he's like on the fast track to win the show or whatever. And I mean, fingers crossed. I love Sally, but I mean, I would rather see Justine and Caleb win, but yeah. And exactly. And so it's like and I think we'll see that because when it's over and they go into the real world and Johnny sees what everybody's been saying and Sally sees what everyone's been saying, like that's going to be the end of that.
Since day 2, we just think he's had it out for Mackenzie. If you watch, he just snaps at her. He is like out to get her. I think he's convinced the boys to kind of like gang up on her in a sense. And I think that provokes a lot of her over dramatic behavior. I think the guys just like don't like her. And I don't think she feels comfortable there. I think she should go home because I don't think it's a good environment for her at all.
Right. I'm with you on that. I totally see that. I think the boys are so protective over Connor, and they don't like, instead of just letting Connor make his own decisions and his own mistakes, I feel like they've just constantly been in his ear the whole time. And they just don't get along, which is fine. Like sometimes you just don't get along with people. Like Johnny clearly does not like Mackenzie. And because of that, like you said, it makes things more awkward and uncomfortable for her. I feel like she definitely feels more uncomfortable speaking to the other guys about her situation, which is why I think she did try and go back to Connor and talk to Connor about Jalen and what was going on, because she's comfortable with Connor and she doesn't feel comfortable talking to any of the other boys about that situation, because they all just kind of like dismiss her.
Mm-hmm. We've heard that Johnny is kind of like the leader in a sense of the boys, and that they all kind of suck up to him in a way and kind of like puppy dog to him. And I mean, if I was Mackenzie, like I wouldn't try to reason with someone's little puppy dogs either. Like, you know, it would just be like uncomfortable. Yeah. But we also predicted before Casa Amor that Johnny would purposely screw up in Casa Amor just so he could come back and be like, I messed up, but I'm sorry. And they could have their little mini drama, just enough to say they got through a big obstacle and hump to position them as the winners. Because like with Zach and I, where people were like, they had no issues, we're not voting for them because they never had any issues, they never survived any challenges or whatever, like, or any obstacles as a couple, we're not voting for them. So I think Johnny was like, okay, we have to have a little tiff of some sort to come back together and prove we're the strongest couple. And in his head, I guarantee that is exactly what he's thinking. Like, oh, perfect. Like, everyone loves us now that we're made up. Like, and he was overly touchy with her when they got back to, like, I don't know if you saw the scene of him, like, picking her up and swinging her around, laying her down on the bathroom floor in the dressing room. Like, it was just like, you are so guilty. I've got it out for him, obviously, but.
No, I'm with you. I think he's in for a rude awakening when this ends. And I also think, like, we'll see what happens after the vote, but they could sneaky end up towards the bottom just because of people's opinions about Johnny and the way things went down in Casa Amor. Like, when that stuff happens and there is like, it's one thing if you entertain like, oh, I think I might like Mercedes, and maybe there's one kiss. Like, I think then America is like, oh, they got through an obstacle. Not like, oh shit, they were making out the whole time in bed together. Like, that's like, okay, something's a little shady about you. This isn't going to work.
It's not like 50 makeouts, like how to help you make your decision.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll see. I'm kind of hopeful that it would suck for Sally, because I do really like Sally, but I could see possibly that happening. I do hope that Mackenzie and Aaron are the ones that go. It just makes the most sense. They are the couple that obviously aren't really together, and they were just the last two people standing. This place is not right for Mackenzie. I don't think she's going to find her person, and feel like it's maybe time to let it go.
Yeah. Let's do our predictions so let's go over the coupling up, I guess, of the last episode, so that we can do our predictions of who's going to be in the bottom three.
Okay.
But I have it right here. I literally have it right here because of my own. We're about to recap for our show after this, so I'll read it for you guys.
Awesome.
Carrington and Laurel, Johnny and Sally, Caleb and Justine, Calvin and Kirsten, Jalen and Cher, Connor and Moira, Aaron and Mackenzie.
Okay. All right. So my prediction is that Cher and Jalen bottom
with Mackenzie and Aaron. And then I think they might do the save one from each possibly.
Yes.
And it's going to be like, you can't save from the same one, or you can only save whatever.
If the boys are picking, Mackenzie's.
They're saving Yeah, exactly. If the boys are, I agree with you on that bottom two. I hope America likes Connor and Moira enough, like on their own, that they'll get saved. I think that they do. Calvin and Kirsten might sneak in there, possibly. It could end up being 3, and like they did before, one couple gets saved, and then, but totally. I think the boys would vote to keep Cher and send Mackenzie home. And I think the girls, I don't know, the girls might send Jalen home.
Okay, wait, my strategic mindset just snapped in. There's no way they're going to save a couple of the bottom 3 before they do it again. They're going to do something different. I would predict that it's 3 girls left, 3 guys, and you save 1 from each because there's way too many people in the villa right now.
There's 3 guys coming
I think in. Possibility, there's also 3 guys coming in. There's a possibility that 4 people go home tonight.
That's very true because there are 3 guys coming in. So
they need to dump people. They don't have enough beds is the thing.
Yeah. So they could send home
2 couples.
They could send up Jalen and Cher and Mackenzie and Aaron possibly. So
what I'm curious about is if they are going to let them decide or if they're going to let America decide.
Right. I don't know.
I think that they'll let them decide.
Yeah, I
just think that because with the vote, they never go like double back-to-back votes.
Right. I think it will be.
So I think they would leave it to them,
and they decide from there.
Yeah.
Right. And the drama of they're not gonna miss out on a moment to have like the drama of the boys sending home Mackenzie because that's a moment. Like Mackenzie could potentially lose it on these boys on her way out.
Yes. So we'll have to wait and see till Thursday. Wow. We wanted to ask you, I just saw that you came out with a new podcast.
Yes, I did. Oh, thanks guys. So I just started a podcast called The Dime Package. It's a football show, totally NFL based. Go Eagles, Alex. And it's me and my coworker, Casey Smith, who I work with at Barstool. And we're doing like a quickie 30-minute episode every Monday and Thursday to kind of give you the top headlines of what's going on the field and then also kind of off the field, a little bit more of the gossip, a little bit more of like, who's, like the wag aspect of the sport sometimes. And so you can go subscribe to that and listen to it anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Cool. Perfect. We'll that sounds amazing. I 100% am going to be listening. I need all this.
Alex loves her football players.
Oh yeah. I mean, I screamed about the Eagles for like 3 minutes on the last episode. So you will love it, Alex.
Fran and her coworker, Rhea, they have a thing called a thing. I hate myself.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a thing and a podcast. Chicks in the Office. They talk all things pop culture. It's amazing. I've been a fan for forever. So go subscribe to them. Go follow them. And we love you. You're amazing.
This was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was awesome. And I hope we can all hang out in real life soon.
100%. When this craziness is over, we're in.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Bye.